All right, moving on to step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Referring to our guidebook on page 11, I'm going to read the definitions that are written here. Restore means to bring back an original state. Sanity means health of mind, reasoning logically, logical choices. Most emphatically, this is a quote from page 570 in the big book. Most emphatically, we wish to say that any alcoholic capable of honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover, provided he does not close his mind to all spiritual concepts. He can only be defeated by an attitude of intolerance or belligerent denial. We find that no one need have difficulty with the spirituality of the program. It's the truth. We find that no one need have difficulty with the spirituality of the program. Willingness, honesty, and open-mindedness are the essentials of recovery, but these are indispensable. We often found ourselves handicapped by obstinacy, sensitiveness, and unreasoning prejudice. Many of us have been so touchy that even casual reference to spiritual things made us bristle with antagonism. This sort of thinking had to be abandoned. If we go back to our guide on step 2 on page 11 and read the bullet points, many of us have had a belief in God, but we have to admit something has been lacking. Just look around. So let's start from bedrock. Let's stop trying to prove that our religious or agnostic ideas are correct. Let's just start looking for the truth. Let's not try to prove anything. Let's simply look at the evidence around us. Is there a power at work, a power greater than ourselves that is available to us? Basically, we're coming to terms with our ego's rigidness in step 2. We need to soften, to be open to the possibility that the reality of God, whatever God is not what our ego wants God to be. Perhaps the reality is that God does exist in our lives, but we have been blocking God's pureness with our rigid, narrow ideas of what God is. Deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. We need to ask ourselves but one short question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe that there is a power greater than myself? Now that's a pretty simple question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe that there's a power greater than myself? If I insist that there is no higher power, I'm not willing. If I insist that I know everything there is to know about God, I'm not willing. I'm not open to what God really is. This isn't about choosing a faith. This is about just opening our mind to see how the world works. We opened our mind to find out that life is unmanageable. If we're logical, it really is. Now we're going to open our mind to the idea that maybe there's a power that can help me live without me trying to manage my life. As soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he's on his way. It has been repeatedly proven among us that upon this simple cornerstone, a wonderfully effective spiritual structure can be built. Look, step 2 is like the easiest step there is. We just have to put our ego on notice. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm trying to let the truth be the truth. This is as open-minded as it gets. It's true that no one need have trouble with the spirituality of the program. This isn't about getting somebody else's conception of God. This is about going deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. If you get a new computer, you don't start reading the instructions, do you? You throw it in the trash, right? Steve throws it in. You just turn the damn thing on, right? You just turn it on and let it tell you what to do next. That's all we're trying to do with this. Step 2 is that simple. Step 2 is admitting that we don't have to prove what God is. We only have to look within. Like the computer has all the guts in it that tells us what it needs to do. We just have to be open-minded. Just turn it on and see what happens. That's what I think. What do you think, Larry? If you have a cell phone, Larry, and you put it on airplane mode, it can still do some stuff, right? You could still turn on your calculator. You could play some music. You could even you can't make a phone call, but you could do all kinds. You could take a picture. But when you take that cell phone off of airplane mode and put it online, all of a sudden, the world opens up. You have at your fingertips stuff that when I was 30 years old, I could never believe that this was going to be this way. It's there, though. It's true. Are we willing to take ourselves off of airplane mode? Let our mind open up to the possibility that there really is a vital sixth sense available to us. That God consciousness isn't me thinking about God all the time, but rather this access to God's consciousness, God being conscious in me, that there is a power greater than me. It's like taking my phone off of airplane mode. My ego is like the phone on airplane mode. It's like the car that's sitting out here with air in the tires and the tank full of gas and the engine running, but it doesn't have any place to go. It's like the pilot that comes on the intercom after you take off and he says, well, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that we're lost. This is the pilot on the airplane. But he said the good news is we're making damn good time. So the idea with this is that, yes, our ego has been busy trying to manage life. It's been busy being an actor. But it's been missing something. It's been missing the driver. We're lost, but we're making good time. So this is like taking our phone off of airplane mode and turning it on and connecting with the power we didn't even know existed. If you would have told my grandpa, see that thing right there? You can ask it anything you want and it'll give you the answer. He would say you're crazier than hell. He never got on an airplane either. He was like that. But it's true. So God consciousness is available to us. And that's all we're looking at in step 2 is we don't even have to think this is true. You don't have to believe what I'm saying is true. Step 2 doesn't require that. Step 2 requires, do I believe that this could be true? Or am I even willing to believe that this is true? And that's why step 2 doesn't need to be difficult for anybody. Now, if you're so damn stubborn that you're going to insist there is no God, or that your idea of God is the right idea, period, the end, you're going to have trouble with step 2. The only thing that can defeat you is belligerent denial, stubbornness. If you could just soften, open your mind. Is it possible that this exists, this God consciousness, this fundamental idea of God? Take the thing off airplane mode and guess what? It comes alive. Is that possible? Well, we've admitted that life is unmanageable. Let's consider this as a possibility. To take step 2, it might help to review our life and ask ourselves, how open-minded can we be? If we turn to page 12 in the guidebook, Here's some questions that might help you come to terms with the idea of step 2. A journey into open-mindedness. Step 2, inventory. Describe in detail your present position on the following issues. Your present beliefs about God. That's simple enough to write down. It could be something from, I don't have a clue what God is, to, well, God is ABC. Okay, move to question 2. If atheist or agnostic, what irritates you about others' talk of a God personal to them? Like if you're an atheist and people are talking about God and it pisses you off, you know, what's going on there? Just write it down. We're just trying to get stuff on the table here. Number 3, if religious, what is it about other religions or other people's spiritual beliefs that irritate or frighten you? Like religious people get irritated too. You know, one guy talks about his religion is different than the other guys, and everybody's all bristling with antagonism. Question 4, can you accept that your current ideas and beliefs about God may not be 100% correct? That's the question. Question 5, A, what evidence do you see that leads you to believe that a higher power created us and that we are not just a product of accidental evolution? A higher power means something bigger than our ego. If our ego is the biggest thing that there is in the universe, the human ego, then we're done with these steps anyway. But if there's a possibility that there's a power that actually created us and has a plan for us, that's what we're looking for here. In 5B, or are you at least open to the idea that a higher power created us? Are you at least open to it? 6, considering the present unmanageability of your life and the evidence you see around you, can you believe or be willing to believe that there is a power greater than yourself that can restore your sanity? I took this step looking at this AA member that was willing to help me when I was a treatment counselor. I said, how? You obviously have something I've never seen before. That was my second step. There was a power working in his life, and I saw that. My life was unmanageable. Are you open to the idea that in your original healthy mind there is a built-in idea of God? Deep down in every man, woman, child is a fundamental idea of God. It's not a debate, it's a discovery. Step 2 asks only that we believe that there is a power greater than ourselves, not to believe in anything. Do you believe that there is a power greater than yourself that can restore your healthy mind? This is our simple cornerstone, a willingness and openness to discover our God-given belief deep down within us. If this AA book is right, your understanding of God is in you already. You came with it. And now that you've admitted that life is unmanageable by your 5 senses and your ego, are you willing to let that power come to light? Are you willing to think that it's even there? That's step 2. It's so simple.